Hello, and welcome to another episode of Witchy Business. Today we are having a check-in. We're just gonna chat and see where it takes us again, because these are always the best conversations, and we are always really aligned with how we're feeling and what we're kind of moving through. So we want to share that with you because we hope that it will resonate with you too.
Yeah.
So should we start with an energy check-in?
Yeah. For everyone, if you want to join us, it's just like there's nothing fancy to do, nowhere fancy to be. If you're walking, you can do it. Probably not if you're driving, because I'd like you to have your full attention on the road. But anything else, you can take a moment and take a deep breath. You can keep your eyes open and be present with what's around you, or you can start to close your eyes and feel into what's inside of you. And I always like to encourage to go beyond any physical sensations that you might feel, and to peek also behind all those thoughts that you might be having. And start to feel into what's there. What are the emotions that are present? How is it moving inside of you? What's in motion inside of you? And it doesn't need to be very long. And just being present with it without attaching any meaning to it, without trying to understand it. We tend to go so quickly into our mind, and it's just staying with what's physically present within you. So I'll share. There's a lot of excitement that's there, and excitement has a bit of the same energy as like nervousness. It's so alive that it can feel like fear, and like my mind could be really quick to say that there's fear also present in there, but actually there isn't. There's just, it's like very upward energy of happy, excited, and also a very grounded energy of feeling very supported, which as an emotion would be feeling a lot of love at the moment. So it's a really nice space to land into.
That's beautiful.
It's like the whole energy just dropped.
Yeah, that felt really nice. I feel really supported as well. So love. And we should start every episode with that. Energy check-in.
Now on.
Yeah, it was nice.
Is there anything else that's present for you that you would want to share? Because you also don't have to share it, but
yeah. No, I've just, I really felt like just a shift recently in that, just feeling so safe and supported. And yeah, it was nice just feeling that again just now, just being in that.
Actually, that's something that I would really like us to speak about today, is that shift. because when we were catching up really quickly off air, before we started.
Who are we?
We were both talking about how we felt like a massive shift just yesterday. So today's Monday as we're recording, and on Sunday after the eclipse, we both felt like this big shift. And yeah, I'd like, what was your experience with it?
Yeah. Where do I start?
Or maybe starting into like how you were feeling pre-shift.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, I guess, I mean, what's the opposite of feeling unsupported? I was just feeling, I guess, a bit all over the place, a bit out of control, I would say. And I don't mean like I want to control everything. Maybe I do. But it's more in the way that like I was trying to find a focus. I was yeah, all over the place in the way that it was like, do I focus on this? Do I spend my time here? Like what, and that energy for me feels quite chaotic, and it feels distrusting, because when I'm kind of in that zone, it's very reminiscent of hustle culture. It's like must do all the things, must control everything, must be on top of everything. And so when I'm in that, it's often because I'm not trusting myself, trusting the process, trusting what I'm doing. And so through shifting that, I now feel calm, grounded, and that then translates into, instead of being all over the place, it's just focusing on one thing at a time, and it's trusting that what I'm focusing on is the right thing, and kind of moving in more of a flow.
Yeah. It feels like you shifted from fearing to trusting. And in what you shared, like something that like stood out for me is like how it felt reminiscent of hustle culture. And I feel like sometimes when we're in an energy that's reminiscent of something that we're trying to move away from, it's like our focus is so much on what we're trying to move away from that we're just like keeping ourselves in that box of that thing that we're trying to not be in. And yeah, it's I don't quite know where I was going with sharing that, but hey, you do what you want with it.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. And it's kind of like, what you focus on expands. So if all I'm focusing on is the hustle and the chaos, then I'm just going to get more of that.
Yeah. I feel like it's beyond the mindset. It's like in your body, like you're just, because the space that you're coming from is then the chaos, then it's like you're seeking all the reasons outside of you why you should feel the chaos, and then obviously like you find them. And do you feel like there's something in particular that helped you shift, or something that you did, or was it just
A couple of things. One is I have started asking myself every morning, what can I do today to feel joy? And then I just do the thing that I'm given. And that feels really good. And then through doing the things, one of them was dance. And actually, so I did a dance class yesterday. It was a static dance, and I'd actually already booked into that. But it is funny because the answer that I was getting quite a lot as I've been asking myself this over the past few days or week is dance. So some of those days it's like, that's what I need to experience joy. So then coming around into the full circle yesterday, when it was just completely focused on that, it just felt so, I am struggling to even like put into words how deeply profound this experience was yesterday, but it just, I'm just riding the high of it.
Yeah. I love dance. I mean, you know this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you with your shifts?
If I go back through like kind of the questions that I asked you, so where was I before and how I'm feeling now? So now I'm feeling like excited and supported and like confident, not in a impostery way, just trusting, really. And I think I've spoken about this before, but there's this nuance in the trust for me where I think before, when I was experiencing trust, a lot of the time what I was truly experiencing is trust in my ability to fight to make something happen. And I call that like, the big trust in like universe, energy, God, whatever the word is for you. But now I just trust. It's not that I trust in my ability to make it happen, it's that I just trust. And for me, like my word is life, like trusting life, which can feel quite surface level to a lot of people, but actually for me is really, really big. Without going too far into it, when I was 2, I had a near-death experience, and I've had this big, big fear, not of death, but of life. It's like when there's so much moving in me, so much aliveness in me, I've expressed it up until now as anxiety. It's like there is so much that's moving within me that I don't feel like I'm capable to hold it all. And so mentally, I then like start to spiral, where I look for all the proof that it's not possible for me to be everything that I want to be, to do all the things that I want to do, and to have everything that I want to have. And it's really, really big. Like it's like the only thing that my brain then focuses on. And so that's actually where I was. And I was in that space for a couple of weeks, which is not very long compared to how long I used to stay in that state. I'm just talking really slow because it's like bringing it up brings it up. Like I feel it in me, and all this aliveness just felt so big, so scary for me. And I just needed to keep reminding myself that I can hold this much life. Otherwise, it wouldn't be coming up, like as a human, I'm a vessel for life to be created through. When we say like we're spiritual beings having a human experience, then I'm having the human experience, and I'm just having a lot of experience of the humanness. And so that's where I was just feeling a lot of life, and it was really scary. And I had like a whole weekend, like 3 days of just, I kept like being really present with myself, because I guess it's almost like a bit, it can feel like I'm torturing myself, but because my work is in being present with and observing and being curious with what's moving within people, I'm obviously doing that on myself, like first and foremost. And so it's like this duality of like, I'm the one having the experience and I'm the one observing myself having the experience at the same time. And the more you do that, it's like the quicker the experience dissolves as well. Like when you're, well, the fear was dissolving quicker. And so, yeah, I was in that. So that's a long-winded way of sharing where I was. And I didn't like try to go into why it was there. It's just like, it just is like, this is, you know, because I've learned through the years of, I mean, the years and years and years and years of experiencing anxiety, that figuring out why it's there makes zero difference. Because although like stress is like the way I see it, stress is an outward source, so you can manage it, you can do things about it, you can delegate. Anxiety comes from within. It's like that overwhelm of like, the system just like short circuits. There's nothing out there that is creating that fear inside of me. So spending time trying to figure out why it's there is pointless, because when I think about it, some of like the biggest anxiety moments that I've had, I was like lying on a beach with my friends, you know, like everything was fine. And it's suddenly like, actually, it makes sense because my body mind was feeling safe enough to feel all these big feelings. And so what were they doing? They were showing up. And so I was reminding myself of that as I was experiencing all the fear, but it was huge. Like I haven't felt this big an anxiety terror really, like, is what it was. Move through me. I think the last time I felt it was in May last year, and we're in April, so 11 months. So it felt really, really big. It felt bigger than me. It freaked me out. And then last week, on the same day, I had a session with my coach, who's also a maturation coach, because it just makes sense to be coached in my modality. And then in the evening, I had 2 hours of supervision as a maturation coach. So I had 3 hours of this work that I do on myself on the same day. And it just like exploded and allowed me to, well, what it allowed me to do was to actually just feel it. Like there was so much resistance to feeling the fear because I was afraid of the fear. And then I was just held in a really safe space with people that I really trust to experience it. And it didn't need to last very long. And then there was a few days of just noticing when it was there and being present with it and just letting it like move through me. And then on Saturday night, I wrote like my new moon intentions, a couple of days late. And actually, this is something I digress. But as I was writing them, I actually wrote like, I don't know if I really resonate with writing these. I feel like I write the same thing every month, la la la. And then I was like, I'm going to do it anyway. And this is what I'm calling in as the moon grows through the month, because that's like the sentence that I tend to start with. And so I was writing them, and it just reminded me like what I want to, you know, why I'm doing this work, what I want to create, like the space that I want to be. So that was like a huge shift. And then on Sunday, went to yoga, and it was really sunny. And lately I just love like when I can going to the beach and spending the afternoon like in the sun reading my book. Could have done that. And then I was like, no, I want to go home and I want to really like deep clean my space, and I'm doing this course and I want to start listening to it, and I want to be in the right headspace for my one-to-one in the morning. And so I did all of that like all afternoon until midnight last night. So that's like 12 hours. And in that time, it was just like I was doing something else with this intention of like clearing and letting new energies in. And it was just like breakthrough after breakthrough. Like just it felt like, I don't know if you can hear it, I'm making great like breakthrough sounds. And yeah, it's like just this huge weight lifted, like a veil has been pierced, like, and also like a remembering of what I'm meant to do, why I'm here, and what I need to let go of. And seeing that like part of this fear was me holding on to like old identities and things that I should be doing, and you know, like to make it really like tangible. In my head, it's like, well, you've got 10 years of experience in business and you really light up when people talk to you about their business, so you should be doing something around that as an offer. No, it's you know, like it's just like, just let that go. And yeah, there's things that I want to do in future, but it doesn't need to be my full focus now, so I can just let that go as well. Like, you know, letting go of having to do anything in French communication wise. I actually just sent an email to my French database just saying, hey, use the translate button on Instagram. It's too much for me at the moment to do everything in both languages, and it's actually completely stopping me from doing anything at all. And I feel like as I was clearing my home, my space, changing my wardrobes from winter to summer, it just helped me to clear, like in my head as well, and just to let go and to release what I needed to. So I feel like I've completely just taken over and spoken alone for the past like 20 minutes or so.
No, I love it. I love it.
So yeah, it was a big shift. And it something that I just like want to circle back to is the power of intention setting. That it might feel like really light and pointless, especially if, you know, you do new moon intentions and manifesting around the new moon like we do. And if you feel like you're writing the same thing every time, but there's so much power in it, in actually writing it down, pen to paper, not as a note on your phone, but like the tangible moment of putting ink down on paper, because you write slower than you think. And that moment just felt really powerful for me. And yeah, a lot has shifted, and I feel like it started with that. So I just, that's my thing to, that helped me shift with a lot of other things, you know.
Yeah. I love that you talk about anxiety in that way as well, because I think, you know, what you were saying about like stress is like outwards and you can manage that. I feel like I've always been told that, and there is a perception that you do that with anxiety as well, right? Because I've always been told like you need to get a hold of your anxiety. And you know, I remember times like having a panic attack and someone's like, you just need to control it.
Just breathe.
Yes.
It's like, mate, right now you've got no idea how hard that is.
And so I love that you describe it like the way you talk about it, and it makes so much sense to me. And I really resonate with what you were saying about how like when you were just on the beach and you're feeling that anxiety. And I actually experienced that myself last year when I was in Greece on my honeymoon, and supposed to be, a really beautiful, magical time, and it was. But on one of the days, I woke up and I was so anxious. Like, I didn't want to leave the hotel room. And I just remember thinking, like, that it kind of just, it clicked for me. I was like, well, I'm not anxious here. Like, I'm having a great time. I'm
Yeah.
in the sun. I'm in this
Yeah.
beautiful location. Therefore, it's not actually, I'm not actually anxious at the situation. It's like within me.
Yeah.
And that really, it just shifted so much for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Just because anxiety has been such a huge part of my growth journey,
Yeah.
I just wanted to talk about it just a little bit more. I won't like spend too much time either. I wrote an
No,
article
please.
on anxiety, so I'll link it in the show notes. But if people experience anxiety, like you said, it is not about something out there. It is all about what's going on in here. And I'm pointing to your heart, to your body, to yourself. That's where it lives. So if you reverse that equation, it means that changing anything out there is not going to change anything in here. So that's a lot of effort, time, and energy that you can realize that it doesn't actually do anything. And that can be scary because you're like, well, then what do I do? And you just in big inverted commas, be with yourself. I read a book, it's almost like, it feels like it was 10 years ago when it first came out, called First We Make the Beast Beautiful by Sarah Wilson. Completely changed my life on how I see anxiety, helped me put words to it, helped me describe it, and helped me understand that I have always experienced this. Like as a kid, how I described my nightmares is how I would describe anxiety today. So it's always been there, and it really helped me like communicate it with people. So the book First We Make the Beast Beautiful. But beyond like having to read a book to try and feel better, I've tried a million things about, to manage my anxiety. It's why I became a yoga teacher. It's why I learned pranayamas and breath work. Well, not pranayamas and breath work, pranayam as a breath work modality. It's why I journal. It's why I've always journaled. I think I found my first journal when I'm like 11. Because writing down pen to paper is slower than your thoughts. So it slows down your mind and it helps. And so I'll share like all the things that kind of help me regulate. But actually, in the past 2 weeks, I did none of those. Because now I'm like, no, I'm a big enough space. I just want to feel when I'm in it, when it feels too big. It's not about regulating and then trying to go into it. It's just like, now I just go into it like full in, and it's not uncomfortable. Trust me, I was like bursting into tears in the street, like crying on a voice note to my coach, just saying like, I feel like I can't do this, but I know I can, but it feels really scary. So things that help when it feels too big is writing, listening to binaural beats. That just like, oh, it feels so good. Sugar is a big one. Caffeine is a big one. I know I can't handle those when, there's a lot. back flower remedies, really doing the test online of the back flowers and seeing a back flower practitioner. And it doesn't need to be the back flowers, but a flower elixir. To me, there are certain ones that I have found that really help me. So I always have a rescue remedy on me. And yeah, I won't even say like the names of the ones that work for me, because I just encourage you to find the ones that work for you. And a big one. So when people tend to have, like, when people start hyperventilating, which is often associated with an anxiety attack or a panic attack, we tend to tell them, take a deep breath. No, do not take a deep breath. Just like your body mind feels like it is not big enough to hold all your emotions, your diaphragm is so contracted, it is not big enough to hold a big breath. It will send you into a bigger panic. So what I've learned from experience is very small, shallow, cold breaths. And that looks like imagining breathing through a straw. So it's like you can't take a deep breath when you're breathing through a straw, and it's really small. And if you can see me right now, it's just really slow and quite shallow as a breath. And if you can blow that cold air into the palm of your hand, it sends an extra signal to your nervous system that you are breathing. And your brain is like, oh yes, I'm breathing. And it like touches things in the palms of your hands that calm you as well. And that's my biggest one. No deep breaths. Very slow, shallow, cold breaths, as if you were breathing through a straw. And a few of those, because your diaphragm, and then slowly starting to breathe from your diaphragm, which is right under your solar plexus, like at the where your ribs like become separate, that space, like breathing from there. So it's not your belly, it's not the top of your lungs, it's like that middle space, and just very slowly bringing more and more space into there, and that can help you regulate. But what I've experienced is that you can hold it all, you really can. It's a lot of life moving through you, and if you're feeling it, it's because you're ready to. So yeah, the only thing that helps you get through it is to go through it. And that is my TED talk on anxiety. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all of that. And yeah, your article is just so beautifully articulate. So yeah, everyone should read that. And I feel like let's just all take a second and blow into the palm of our hands, because that feels so good.
It feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah, so good.
Yeah. Well, that was a bit deeper than I was expecting. It's like a moment to re-regulate. But yeah, so that's where I was, where I am, what I went through. Do you know what I keep seeing? I need to share this. You know, in Peter Pan, when they're like following the leader, like all the kids in Neverland, and they're like following the leader, and they're going through like the marshland, and then
I don't remember.
Am I alone in it?
Go on, continue.
Yeah, they're just like all following the leader and going through like this whole landscape, but it's the only way through is through.
Yeah.
You just need to and I say just so lightly, it's developing your ability to hold what is moving through you. You do this with a coach. Lincoln show notes. No, but yeah, it's not just a mental thing that you manage, which unfortunately is what everybody hears about.
Yeah. But I feel like there is a shift in that as well.
Yes.
I think, we are, well, particularly in our community, I guess in our world of
Yeah.
the internet, is
Yes.
there are a lot of people who are talking about that
Yeah.
connection, the embodiment, and I think that's really amazing. And all we can do is keep practicing ourselves and sharing that. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. We had little notes for today just because there were so many things we wanted to talk about, and we had this idea, like something really nice and light, of sharing just like a little bucket list for the month ahead, of like little things and big things that you want to do and experience. Yeah, what are you looking forward to? Like, it's like spring coming into summer.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I need some more time to think about this one. You go first.
I want to experience more beach time. That's something that I'm really excited about. And iced coffees. I'm officially declaring iced coffee season open.
Yes.
Also, I know that for me, summer feels a lot closer than it might for you because I'm in the south of France and it's sunny. So sorry. But yeah, iced coffees, salads, spring fruits and veggies. I'm really excited about. And color, lots of color. Like I feel like when it comes to spring and summer, we tend to wear more color. Nature is more colorful. Yeah. And I love color. So it was a very strange thing to be excited about. But yeah.
No, I like it because when you said color, I was imagining because you said fruit just before, so my mind was thinking about loads of colorful fruit, and I just love when you make a fruit salad and it's
Yes.
so fresh, and just love that. Yeah.
And the smells of this season as well, like everything comes back to life, and the smell of fresh fruits and veg and herbs, and nature smells different, like more alive.
Yeah.
The smells minus the pollen, minus the allergies.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
So I feel like everything's coming back to life, which might be why I was feeling so much aliveness in me, but now I'm really excited about it. So and I've got a few really special weekends coming up. Got my best friend from childhood who's coming over with my goddaughter. By the time this episode comes out, they'll have already been and gone. But I'm really excited about that. She told her mum that I was her best friend.
Oh.
And and I've got my cousin's hen do. That's going to be really fun. So just big and little things to be excited about. And it I wanted to talk about it because then it's when you see it, smell it, experience it, you notice it more, and it becomes more part of your life. And I feel like that's part of the magic as well of life, of noticing those really little things that we can skip by.
Yeah, I agree. It's in the moments of being present that you really notice the magic, but also that's where you get to feel fulfilled and happiness because you're fully experiencing it. They're good ones. Good bucket list.
So was that enough time for you, or do you want more time?
Yeah, okay, I'm just gonna
pushing.
soundboard. Yeah, so I am really excited about lighter evenings. I know we've had them for a little while, but as we go more into spring and summer, and I just love light evenings and early mornings, and walking after work, walking before work, and I just love that feeling. And also just lighter food. I'm feeling like I've just been eating so much like stodgy food recently in the form of, like root veggies and stuff, which still are amazing, but just they leave you, feeling a bit heavier. And so I'm just excited to feel like lighter in general. And I also have some really nice weekends coming up. I've got so many weddings this year in general. But then with that brings the hen do's and some trips away with friends. And just I think it's the energy. What I'm most looking forward to is like, the energy that those lighter evenings and the sun and the blue skies brings. It's like community, it's connection, it's I don't know how to explain it other than like just lighter. Like I'm doing like a
upward.
like
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I'd love to know from everyone what they're most looking forward to. That's keeping it for like the next month. And and just because then it's like, oh, I could do that too, or share.
And it's easy sometimes to just kind of get lost in the ups and downs of life or business or work, and so it is nice to think about what's coming up, and then like you said, you really fully are in it when it arrives. So I'm going camping this weekend actually. Well, by the time this is coming out I will have already been, but it's the first camp of the year, so
oh yes, I miss camping so much. I love it. Just waking up in nature is like the best thing. The best thing. Oh
and I wanted to share something before we wrap up. So I was saying earlier that I went to a static dance yesterday, and
I'm so excited for you to share this, by the way, because at the start of the app, you like before we recorded, you told me, "Oh, I'll share this," and I was like, "Oh, keep it. I want it as a surprise."
And because it was yesterday, I'm still kind of like processing, that shift. Like I didn't really share too much on what that shift has been, but I'm still kind of integrating and processing. So I'm sure the time will come when I share some more. But it was the most incredible experience, and the host shared something which just really just hit, really got in there. And when she was opening the space, so we opened with a cacao ceremony, and then she opened the circle of the dance by just explaining a bit more about what a static dance is and the kind of rules and guidelines. So really the vision and the purpose of a static dance is just to allow yourself to be free and to express in whatever way that you want to express. There's no talking, there's no phones or technology. And she said that there were a few people, so it was my first time there in this space, and I did feel a little bit nervous because I didn't know anyone, and I'd never I'd never been there before, and you could tell that there are a few regulars. Honestly, before I went, I was in one of those moods in the morning where I was like, I could just not go, like no one would know. But I did, and I'm so glad I did, because it's really in these moments where we do push past our, push out of our comfort zone, and through that fear that we do get to experience incredible magic, and we get to grow. And she shared that other people who were coming to either this session or sessions coming up had emailed her saying that they were feeling a little bit nervous, and what can they expect. And she said, I forget, because I guess she's been doing it for so long, she forgets that it is quite nerve-wracking. And she said, I forget that dance can be quite nerve-wracking. And why is that? Why is something that is so natural and so available to us so nerve-wracking and taboo and almost forbidden in some places? And it's because we've been conditioned from such a young age that things like dancing is not safe for us to do. It's not allowed. It's, if you do it the wrong way, you're going to be laughed at, you're going to be humiliated, and then that's going to cause shame and fear. And so from a young age, we really learn to suppress our expression in the form of dance, and many other things, but I'm just talking specifically about dance at the moment. And so she was like, I just want to welcome and invite you all to just, be with whatever comes today. And it felt like such a nice invitation, because it's something I've been thinking about recently as well, as just like this exploration of, expression and creativity, particularly in the form of dance. And I love dance. I actually have never really felt like I'm embarrassed to dance. Singing, yes. Dancing, no. But then when I was in this space, I suddenly felt like a little bit nervous to express myself. And it took me a little while to warm up. And I think it was just, it was like the combination of newness and change and all of this that I noticed was like blocking me from expressing myself. And so it took me like a song or two, and then I really just let go, and it felt incredible. And I just felt so held, so supported. And really, one of the messages that came through for me, and now I want to pass this on to everyone listening, is it is safe for you to express yourself.
I love that. Just
just want to let that sit. And that just felt really, it's contributed to the big shift. And I really just liked how she kind of addressed that idea that the conditioning that we experience and, all of these fears that we have inside of us stop us from really being our authentic self. And when you give yourself permission to be yourself, then magical things can come from that.
And with that, I think, that's just the perfect place for us to end. So see you all next week. Thank you for that. Do you want to repeat it just one last time, and then we'll just close?
Oh no, I can't remember. I was just kind of channeling. I can't remember what I said. The message that came through for me was, it is safe for you to express yourself.